So, my friend, I want to ask you, have you been listening to some of my podcasts for a while and identified for yourself all the areas that you feel your business could be better in? Maybe you just are so busy you haven't yet mastered the working as much as you like bit. Or maybe you're just not bringing in the money, like you're struggling with the income, or it's just not enough. Well, it's time for us to have a conversation. In the show notes, there is a link to my evolution call. If you're a dance boss and you are ready to take action, let's have a chat and let's see where I can take you. Hello and welcome, lovelies, to the Ultimate Dance Business Podcast. My name is Deborah Laws, the dance business expert. My passion is to help you turn your passion into profit while guiding you to work less and earn more. I'm super excited to share interviews with you that I know will inspire and motivate you in your schools, as well as my solo shows where I shall be sharing some great tips and strategies. So if you love the show, please do remember to review, subscribe, and share it with your fellow dance boss friends. So let's get stuck into the business of dance. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Ultimate Dance Business Podcast. Today, we are going to dive deep, or at least I think we probably are. We're not going to talk a huge amount today about business or running your dance school, but what we are going to talk about, I feel, is how you show up. So we're going to talk about you, the person. That obviously is a little bit attached to the identity of you, the dance studio owner, as well. But I'm just really ready to free flow into this conversation with this lovely, lovely lady that has joined us, Gemma Gilmour. Very excited for us to see where this is going. I feel like it's one of those chats that we don't know where it's going to go. So first of all, let me just welcome you, Gemma. Hi.
Hi, Deborah. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
You're absolutely welcome. I can hear a little bit of a lilt there. Is that an Edinburgh lilt I can hear?
Yes, I'm from Scotland. I live in Edinburgh, yeah.
And have you always lived there?
No, I grew up in Aberdeenshire, country bumpkin, and then came to Edinburgh for university and just loved it and got stuck here.
And never went back.
Never went back to Aberdeen, no.
Oh, well, look, it's really lovely for you to take some time to be with us today. And I know that there's going to be some really great impact for some people. You know, I'm always such a big believer in, some people will have a little listen and it'll be, oh, yeah, that was interesting. And for some people, no matter who I speak to or what the episode is about, it has a really strong, impactful kind of effect. Because sometimes people just need to hear something at the right time from the right person said in the right way. And I know that's probably going to happen today. So, Gemma, could you please start by just introducing yourself, tell everybody what you do. I always get you other people to do this because I just make a really bad job of it. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, Gemma.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Gemma. I'm a mum of three. I'm married to Stephen Gilmour, who is a cricket coach. So my life revolves heavily around the cricket seasons. And I was a behaviour analyst for a good 15 years, fell into that profession completely by accident. I had applied to classic psychology graduate default was I'll just do primary school teaching. I kind of loved working with children. Got in to do that course, and that summer, a mum was advertising on Gumtree to work with her autistic child, and I thought that would be a good summer job. Fell in love with that job, cancelled the place at uni, and delved into the unknown. And that was my first experience of really just embracing everything about uncertainty, unknown, because I didn't realize at the time, very naively, that this profession didn't exist in the UK. And so I was catapulted to being a business owner pretty much instantly and just followed my joy compass for 15 years, gathered more families to work with, built this really successful business completely by accident, built a team, had a clinic. It just grew. And then when COVID hit and I had my little babies, I realized how exhausted I was. Didn't realize at the time because I normalized it. I think us working mothers do that, don't we? We're like, yeah, but that's just what life's meant to be. We're meant to juggle all of it, spin all the plates. And the mental, like emotional and mental workload of all of that, it wasn't until COVID forced me to stop. I realized that it had quite a large impact. And I think that probably a lot of your listeners can resonate with that. I think it was a moment in time everybody reflected on
Yeah. And
their
and I'm
life.
I'm amazed how many people actually loved it because they just got to stay home. They got to, they walked into their dining room, they did their online classes, and 2 minutes later they're back being a mum, whereas normally they'd have been out for hours. And so, not everybody loved it. It wasn't great for everyone, but for some people, I know they actually really enjoyed it and then really struggled to go back into life. But
Yeah.
so yes, we do, yeah, we do relate to that, I think, in our industry for sure.
Yeah. It was a real catalyst for me and a turning point where I kind of just was like, hang on a second, do I even like this anymore? Um, and I was very aware of my patterns at that point. The hustle, just work harder. By that point, the in-person business was that we had a waiting list. That was a success. But I really wanted to scale the online business to have more time to be more present with my children.
Mm.
And I had this incredible course, and I did what I thought you just do, put it out there, and people would buy it. And then people didn't buy it, but it's really good. And so this was my first sort of like dipping my toe into the online coaching space. And I realized just like all of my limiting beliefs came up when I did that in terms of being visible, in terms of charging people for the coursework, all of the things came up. And so somebody had said to me in this period of COVID, when we were all juggling homeschooling and all these things, why don't you see a mindset coach? And I honestly rolled my eyes at that point, Deborah. I was just like, that is not for me. I'm an action taker. But I was very aware of hemorrhaging cash to business coaches, marketing, sales strategists, and just still hitting this kind of income ceiling. And so in that time, I decided to hire a mindset coach, and that was it. That changed my life for me. I loved the work she did with me. I mean, it was very similar to the work I had been trained in doing as a behavior analyst. And my background, I've got a master's degree in behavioral psychology, but nobody had sort of gone that into that depth in terms of really helping me see the limiting beliefs, the emotional escape patterns, and then the self-sabotage patterns that I was in. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. I was like, well, something has to change. And she also kind of threw a bit of a curveball at me when I sort of diagnosed myself with imposter syndrome. And she said, I don't know if this is so much imposter syndrome. There might be some there, but I think you've fallen out of love with your business. And that felt like such a kick to the stomach. And it really opened a can of worms because I was like, but this is my baby, right? I've grown this from scratch. I've poured so much energy and effort and money into this business, and I've got families who depend on me, right? Like autism's not going anywhere. Like it's not a quick fix. We had families who worked with us for years. Um, but I couldn't shake this feeling of like, maybe she's right. Maybe I have just lost my love for it. And I really had to go to those uncomfortable places to unravel that. And she was right. I was just sort of like going along with it because I felt like I should be going along with it because that was the profession I'd over-identified with. I'd made my profession me rather than separating me with what I did. And so that was a big thing as well. And in those 3 months of working with her, I decided to pivot my business and to hand over my autism business to one of my subcontractors and to start a new business doing what I do now as a transformation coach. That's
Amazing, amazing. Love the story. I love how it started and where it went to. And it's very interesting because for a lot of my listeners, we don't really have that kind of story because for many of us, we started in our first dance class at age 2 or 3, and we danced all the way through to a point where you have to make a decision, is this going to be a career or not? And then some then go into teaching, some then go into performing, and then circle back to teaching. But it's basically been our thing our whole entire life. And
Mhm.
there isn't really any other options outside of what we do. The only thing I do see, and this is from a coaching perspective, is that I do have a lot of people that obviously start as dance teachers. They start their own classes with a view to maybe I'll just have a few classes of my own. And that then grows and becomes a business. And somewhere along the line, they get, and especially when they start working with a business coach, their mindset can shift from, gosh, actually, I'm more excited about learning about the business than I am now about the teaching. And
Mm.
there becomes a point in time for some, not all, but for some, where they want to make the choice of, I don't think I want to wear the hat and have the identity of a teacher anymore. I
Mm.
want to be just a business owner. And stepping out of the classroom and no longer teaching is so hard for some people. It's like their
Yeah,
whole they're like they are ashamed. Like they find it really hard to say, I don't think I want to teach anymore. Like
yeah.
those words, they can't even come out of their mouth because it feels like they've turned their back on something that is their passion and their lifelong existence.
Yeah, it's like a betrayal, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely. So how
Yeah.
does that what does that mean exactly? What does that look like for someone on from your perspective?
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. I was exactly the same. I was like, but who am I to turn my back on this profession? And the guilt that came with like I said, with the families, I was like, but there was only four of us qualified in the whole country. Like there wasn't, it's not a profession that exists. Like families were remortgaging their house to be able to pay for our services, and we didn't charge a lot, but the NHS didn't offer what we had to offer. So it was so specialized. So that level of guilt on top of the betrayal that you're talking about was a big mess of emotions to untangle. But
Yeah.
this is where the identity piece comes in, right? Like we over-identify with our profession because we make it mean something about who we are. But it's not like it's you are way more than your roles and your identities, other people's expectations of you, your past, all of this stuff, which we just layer on because it's all unconscious, right? We're not aware of the fact that we're doing it. But it's only when you make these pivots and make these moves that you get this like shaky sense of self and like all the emotions you're experiencing. And then that's the moment where you have to really find the courage to separate from that. Yes, you can be a mum and a business owner and a dance teacher and da 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 da, like all of these hats, but they're not the real you. They're just layers you've accidentally over-identified with.
Yeah, and I think that in itself is something I'd like to really kind of look at it with a bit more focus because I think that some people would literally sit here and argue with us, but I am just a dance teacher. Like I don't know any other version of me because it's something that I've done since I was two. So dance is as much a part of me as getting up and having breakfast and going and hanging out with my friends. Like there isn't a version of me that exists without being the dance teacher.
Mhm.
Some people, when we talk about the possibility, if that's what they want to do, of transitioning into not teaching anymore, um, if you were to say to them, who are you outside of teaching dance? They honestly wouldn't know who they are. Like,
Mhm.
how do we find who we are outside of such a strong sense of identity?
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting one that from the dance perspective, isn't it? Because it has been since you were little. Like when you're two, that's tiny. And I can relate to it. My both my younger kids are heavily involved in our local dance school, and Ellie's been dancing since she was 3. Um, so I think what it comes down to is recognizing that your brain, the way your brain works, is anything that is familiar, it's going to latch onto. Your brain is wired for survival and safety. So anything that is unfamiliar, like even thinking about who you are without being a dance teacher, your brain's going to want to snap you back into because that feels unsafe. That's a danger, that's a threat. Even the thought is enough to trigger your brain into like alarm bells. Who do you think you are for thinking you're somebody who's not a dance teacher? This is who we are, kind of thing. And knowing that can be really liberating because it's like, oh, if that's the case, then if you wanted to, you could train to be a doctor tomorrow. If the desire and motivation was there, of course you can do it. And then you'd identify as a doctor, or you could move to Australia. Like, this is the thing, like, we need to recognize that it's just like putting on a jacket, an identity. You can take it off. You have a choice. But most of us aren't taught any, well, we're not taught any of this stuff at school, right? So we just assume that this is who we are. No, and I talk about this to clients all the time. You have four superpowers. You've got thoughts, feelings, actions, and words. And again, we over identify with those things. but they're all dynamic, they're all changeable. You can choose a different thought and feeling and action and the way you speak at any moment in time. So, similar to the identity, you can put that down, you can take that jacket off, you can change your thoughts, feelings, actions, and words. They're not you. We just think we are because we're so closely associated with it. But it's about stepping back into what I call the witness or watcher mode and seeing that you are not your role, you're not your identity, you're not the thoughts that you think, the feelings that you feel. You are pure consciousness. And we could go really deep here, but it's then the question is, well, who am I, you know? But you are the person who is you are the consciousness experiencing this. You are the observer. And you can always become a different person if you want. You can always become a different identity, have a different role. Like, I think it comes back to remembering you have a choice.
Yeah.
So many of us forget that we have a choice. And then it comes back to like, well, what do you want? What do you really, really want? Maybe you want to be a dance teacher and a business owner. Maybe not. Maybe you want to be a stay-at-home mum. Like it always comes back to remembering you get to choose because we're just so in this hamster wheel of reacting to life all the time that we just forget that we have a choice.
And I really love that actually. Like, I feel like that needs to be a saying. I can feel it already, a social media meme coming from this. Like, you get to choose. And I know you say this all day long to all of your clients, but we're a lot of what I do is around, strategy and marketing. So we do a lot of work within this realm as well, but not as much as you do, obviously. And so I do say that to people, but I feel like today, and this is funnily enough, the word I said right at the beginning, somebody out there really needs to hear that today.
Yeah.
Somebody really needs to hear, but my darling, you get to choose.
Yeah, because so many of us, like, we think it's fear and overwhelm and frustration and confusion. And actually, it's the feel that they're just escape states, right? What's underneath this, what's underneath all of those things is this feeling of stuckness because you've forgotten you have a choice. And that feeling of stuckness can feel like a real sensation of powerlessness. It doesn't feel nice. It feels a bit unsafe because everybody wants to feel in control so that they can feel safe. And that's why we then self-sabotage, just simply to protect ourselves, to try and feel safe again. But actually, it's like if we can just remember that our desires were given to us for a reason, they are your purpose. But then it's about giving yourself permission to be open and available to thinking and feeling differently and to just having desires. Because so many of us were conditioned to just be grateful for what you have and you don't always get what you want. And money doesn't grow on trees, like all of that stuff. But we've got to remember like what you were like as a little 5-year-old when people said, what do you want to be? And you were like, I want to be an astronaut. Like there was this innocence and like permission to dream big. But over the years, all of the conditioning piles on top of us and we just play small and we shrink and we forget that actually our desires are our purpose. That's my belief anyway.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I love that. And I keep thinking back to what you said about, it's like a coat. You get to take the coat off. You might want to put a different coat on at some stage in your life. And it really reminded me, and I'm so showing my age now. So many people out there are going to say, who's Mr. Ben? But then there's going to be some people that go, I remember Mr. Ben. Like Ben was a children's program, and he used to go into a changing room, and he would step through a door, and he would put on a new costume, and then he became somebody else for that episode.
Oh, I love it.
Do you remember Mr. Ben? You can't tell me you never watched Mr. Ben.
I'm gonna
Okay.
have to YouTube it now.
Oh, absolutely, because literally, he wore like a black suit and a bowler hat. And he went into this men's clothes shop every episode. There was a new episode. He would walk into the changing room and he took his hat off. And then he opened the door. And when he stepped through the door, he had a costume on and he became someone else. And so then he was a fisherman for that episode, or he was an astronaut and went to the moon, or like literally just what you say. And I do think you need to go and Google it. I think this is a click to your wall.
Totally.
But I think it is that realization. And, someone said to me, this is a huge part of my journey, actually. Someone that I really respected in our industry, that I saw as a bit of a mentor, said to me way before I had my first business coach, one sentence that just stuck with me and has forever stuck with me. And it's not even that powerful, but it was the right thing I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah, never be afraid to reinvent yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like somebody gave me permission to step out of what I was doing, to take the coat off and step into something new and fresh and exciting. Still have to have the bravery and the determination and the ambition and the vision and the all of those things. But it was just that permission piece. And it was like he gave me permission. And another very quick story, I had a teacher that used to teach for me, and she'd been a student of mine since she was 5. So she danced all her life. Then she did all her teaching qualifications with me and then taught me for about 5 or 6 years. And alongside this, she'd actually gone through university doing something, I think she did a history degree or something, and then decided to get a normal job and teach in the evenings and weekends. She literally must have done like 80-hour weeks, crazy. And she did it for several years, and COVID happened and she had a real breakdown. Like, it was just a massive realization that I am going 110 miles an hour, 80 hours a week, and I have done for 5 or 6 years. And I realize now that I can't do it anymore. I can't go back to it, but I don't know who I am now because I have to go back to it because that's all I know. And she phoned me. I hadn't heard from her for a few years because I'd sold my schools at this point. I was coaching full time, and I just got a phone call out of the blue. And the long and short of it was, she needed my permission.
Oh,
She needed permission from someone to say, you don't have to be a dance teacher anymore if you don't want to. She was doing really well in her day job, and it was just as a civil servant. And I just said, you don't have to always do this thing just because you've always done it. You say, oh, but my parents spent so much money on me, and I spent so much time on my teaching exams, and it's what everyone knows. And I was like, but you don't have to. Like, you get to choose. And if it doesn't light you up, it doesn't make you happy anymore, follow the light that makes you happy. And she had lots of tears and messaged me afterwards, and she said, I've known this for years, and you literally just give me the permission that I needed today. And I didn't do anything. That's all I said to her, but she just had to hear it from someone. So it's really interesting, isn't it? How we get so stuck, so incredibly stuck. And I think for a lot of people listening, I hope that for the vast majority of you, you have a really happy life and a really happy school and you love what you're doing. But I do know that there are some people that maybe aren't crossroads. Maybe they, again, needed to hear today that there is a you outside of what you do, or even maybe you just need to pivot something within your own business. You need to let go of control of an area of your business. You need to start delegating. Maybe you need to start bringing on a teacher, and you feel like it has to be you doing everything. Like, it might not be that you're not necessarily listening, thinking, I don't want to do any of this anymore. But even just letting go of certain aspects of running a business is hard for some people, isn't it?
Oh, massively. It's one of the biggest things that comes up when coaching with my clients as a business owner they are, again, it comes back to letting go of control. It always comes back to that in all these different circumstances and contexts, Deborah. But that piece is massive as a business owner, to have trust in others enough that they'll do the job good enough to their standard. And I think, like, that sort of like over responsibility for others can lead to, well, not just burnout, as we know, but like that resentment as well. And that kind of discernment and trust. Like, there's so many moving pieces to that. But I mean, ultimately, there's nobody superhuman enough to do all of it yourself. You have to, if you want to scale, maybe you don't, but if you want to scale, you have to be prepared to grow a team. And that comes with a whole other, minefield of things to navigate. But it comes back to choice again. It's like what we're saying. It just comes back to, what do you really want? And to your story about your lady who felt relieved with the permission. A lot of my ladies are a bit like that, with like, there's an inner knowing, but they're ignoring it because they're just like, you've normalized the hustle and grind, and and the brain just wants familiar and predictable. But there is a little spark inside, but it's getting dimmed. And so it's like, can you just go there for a second and be that little girl again and just give yourself permission, just even to write a wish list, almost like a Christmas list at, Christmas time. Like, what is it that I really want? I want a successful business, but I don't want to be working 100 hours a week. Okay, so what does that look like? And as soon as you write it down and it makes it tangible, it makes it a bit more real rather than just being a bit dreamy in the mind. is in black and white in front of you, and then your brain goes into problem solving mode. Okay, so how do we make this happen? And then it gets exciting because it's not obstacles anymore. It's just like you turn into more solution focused thinking. But you've got to have this like state of optimism and thinking bigger, where so many of us have been just taught to like play small, be realistic, and just get a normal job. That kind of vibe, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I love about I do with some of my one-to-one clients, I do VIP days, and it's just them and maybe two other dance studio owners, and I just work very closely with them. And in the morning, we do this whole visioning piece, which is just literally about, again, giving them permission to dream. But I cannot tell you how much I have to push them because
Really?
they
Yeah.
don't know how to dream. They don't know how to dream. I say, what is it that if I don't go as simple as this question, there's much more to it. But if I was says, what do you really want? And they're like, well, I don't know really. I mean, I'm all right where I am, maybe a little bit more money, and I spend literally 2 or 3 hours helping them to expand their dream. And by
Mhm.
the time we get to the end, they're like, whoa, like, look at everything I wrote down. But, I have to say, encourage them. Like, and if you had that, what would an even bigger future version of yourself want as well as that? And we keep going and we keep going. And some people find this so hard.
Yeah, because it's a desire. For a lot of women, the desire just is so closely associated with danger, but it's not going to last, or someone's going to pull the rug from me, or I've lost it all before. So what? I don't want to feel that live. This one of the most common patterns for this actually came up with a client call yesterday. She said something like, "Yeah, but if I put 2 feet in, and then it doesn't work, then it'll be true. I'm just not good enough." And so there's that fear of failure thing going on. So she'll put 1 foot in and maybe go 99%, but not 100%, because then she can use that reason, well, I didn't go 100%, so it's not about me,
Not my fault. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
my fault. Whereas like that insidious belief of like, but then it'll be true. I'm not good enough. It just is such a block that keeps women from dreaming bigger.
I am just going to pause here for a second because I just want to check that you know all about my new software, Dance Business Solutions. And if you don't, then I would love to show it to you. You can book a demo where I will show you around the magic that I have created in Dance Business Solutions, and you can see just what it will do for your business. So from websites to selling events to managing your customers, managing your inquiries, creating surveys, planning your social media, like it does a gazillion things. And they're all very exciting because I have pre-built most of it for you already using my wisdom and expertise as a dance business coach. So go to dancebusinesssolutions.com as soon as you've finished listening to my podcast and click on book a demo. And I cannot wait for one of my team to show you around. Yeah. And the thing that I'm hearing underneath all of this, and you've already said it, is, the whole needing to control, the whole not wanting to be bigger, all these things, like you said, all comes from a keeping us safe thing. That's a very primeval thing. It feels like a very basic,
Definitely.
but very core.
Yeah. Well, it's like how if you think back to caveman times, if you weren't good enough, you were outcast from the tribe. And if you were judged and like you would be rejected and outcast, it all comes back to safety and belonging. And because you would die if you weren't in the tribe, you'd be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. So it's like that fear. We've got this very old brain with very real fears. The fear's the same, and more like physically, the sensations are the same. And yet you're just talking about posting on social media. You're not going to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. So we've got to recognize the fact that our brain is wired for belonging, love, and safety. That is the 3 things that if you don't feel you have, you will self-sabotage in order to try and get it.
It's really interesting. So belonging,
Yeah.
feeling loved,
And
feeling
safety. Yeah. Yeah.
those are our 3 core survival instincts. And
Sweet.
so all of the things that happen with us, with our thoughts and our self-limiting beliefs and all of the things that circle, all the words that circle around that, do they all come from those 3 core things? It'll be one of those
Yeah.
things that is in lack. So
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah. So I found that there's 3 kind of universal fears: the fear of not being good enough, the fear of being rejected and abandoned, and the fear of letting go of trust. and sorry, of letting go of control and having more trust. They seem to be the three big fears that run the show. And it's simply a response to feeling out of control, powerlessness, or the unknown. Because again, our brain's like, what are you doing? Like, let's just do what was familiar and predictable. But as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we are constantly stepping into the unknown. Who knows who's going to see your offer? Who knows who's going to pay your prices? Who knows what that's the meta algorithm's going to do? Like, and we have to have that, like you said earlier, the courage to take the step anyway. And I always like to imagine, like, I did a lot of backpacking when I was younger. And yeah, I was a bit nervous, but the excitement was bigger. And I had no idea who I was going to meet in Thailand and Australia and what job I would find. I had no clue. I just took the step anyway into the unknown. And if we can be in that vibe of like backpacker vibe of like, this gets to be exciting. I'm choosing for this to be exciting. I'm going to choose to find the courage to take the next step into the unknown and see what unravels for me, believing everything it's going to be this or something better. But so many of us, because of our brain, wants to collapse into fear and doubt. We go into worst case scenarioing, catastrophizing, fortune telling, mind reading, and then it's just like paralyze. Like stay the same. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I'm sure so many people have done that in your life. And you're like, yeah, but if you just tried, who knows where you could be? Like it's been in that realm of possibility as often as possible.
Yeah, and I suppose would you say that this is one of the key um I suppose the key differences between those people that do okay in business and then those people, those entrepreneurs that are out there being the Stephen Bartletts and the Peter James, and I'm just going to name all the dragons. But, basically, that's the difference. They don't allow themselves to stay in fear and stay in safety. So what is it that creates the neurological pathways in those people that makes them feel like they can step out of safety?
Yeah.
What makes them different to some other people?
So I believe it's like all down to brain training. Like I believe like neuroplasticity, nobody's leveraging the fact that we can actually create new neural pathways in our brains. And if we did, we would be playing much bigger than we are because it's just like everything is a response to your thoughts and feelings about it. So you think about something like increasing your prices or creating a new offer or guest speaking like this or going on a stage, and you have to know that your brain will default into who do you think you are? You're not good enough, and all the negative spirals because it wants to keep you safe. So you need to think and feel on purpose to overcome that. You need to proactively and consciously clean up your thinking, like you've got a little sweeping brush, and choose thoughts and feelings that serve you better. And it normally does come down to courage. People make the mistake of thinking it's confidence. Oh my goodness, everybody wants to feel more confident. But actually, confidence comes from competence. So think of all the dancers that you've worked with since they were like little tiny 2-year-olds. They didn't start dancing feeling confident, but they had the courage to give it a go. Then they come to your classes over and over and over again, and they get good at it. The competency's there. Then you feel confident. Where so many people confuse confidence with courage. And like, just harness the courage to overcome the fear and take the step into the unknown and be open to all the possibilities. Because when you are in those elevated states of love, passion, joy, creativity, gratitude, that's when you get the little light bulb ideas, all the little messages, all the serendipities. You'll just meet the right person. The right person will come into your life at the right time. It's when we're in the contracted state of fear and overwhelm and doubt and confusion, and it's like the horses with the blinkers on. We're like this. We're not open to the possibilities. We can't see any ideas. We're just feeling a bit stuck. So that's the inner work that's not that sexy because
Yeah.
people want the dopamine hit of just ticking off another thing to do in their to-do list. That feels better than actually stopping, sitting on your hands and thinking greater than how you feel to like get out of that and back into like an elevated state. And that's where the magic happens. And I always say to clients, I'm here to play in the magic and the logic. Yes, you need a business model and you need a business strategy. And we want to be open and available to miracles happening because that is when you have a clear intention from an elevated emotion and you take inspired action, the magic happens. I've seen it over and over again. That's the formula I live by. I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Dispenza. He talks a lot about this work. You've got to think and feel on purpose if you want the kind of big success that you dream about. But it's a practice, like going to the gym. You can't expect to lift heavy weights the first time you go. You've got to put the reps in. And that's what neuroplasticity is, right? It's actually doing it again and again and again. And for people who are action takers, that's really hard because they just want to get on the laptop and do the next thing.
Yeah. And it is about retraining the thoughts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Retraining the brain. Because, so many times I've heard people talk about the brain as it's just a computer, like, and it's what we
Yeah.
and what we program it to be. And that's why you get to change it. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to say the same computer. In fact, just get a really outdated old version of a computer as we get older. Like, you get to update it, change frequencies, change complete models. Like, that's what it's about, isn't it? About
Mhm.
evolvement and change. To me, that's what life is
Mhm.
about. It's
Mhm.
about the journey of evolvement that we all go on.
Yeah.
So for some people, and it drives me insane when you sometimes hear, and it is normally people that are a little bit older that say, well, I've always been like this. You're not going to change me now. Leopard can never change its spots. And you can change the day you're on your deathbed. You can
Yeah.
decide to choose to be a different person. Like, it really drives, I find it very suffocating when people
Yeah.
have that mentality around me.
Same. Same. And my dad's a perfect example of this. He suffered a massive stroke about a year and a half ago and lost all mobility in his left side. And he is now massively relying on neuroplasticity to retrain that side of the brain whose job it isn't to do any of the left-hand side. And it's working. And it's like every day he goes to physio and he puts the reps in. And it's just like repetition is mastery. And it's like, how amazing is it that we have this computer inside of our heads that we can train to actually create the level of success that we dream for?
Mm.
Like, none of us are leveraging that is your most valuable business asset, that and your email list. And none of us are leveraging it enough, I feel, right? It's there. Use it.
But we're having this really deep conversation about the psychology and neurolinguistics and spiritual, and then you go, well, that on your email list, which is equally important, of course. No, but it is, everything's intertwined, isn't it? It is about all those things. It all comes into play, and so it can start to feel really hard, Gemma. Like, we've got to learn this stuff in business, and we've got to learn how to keep our students. We've got to learn how to do marketing and all the business stuff.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, now Deborah and Gemma are saying, I've got to learn all about me and how to change me. And of course, it's not about change. It's about, I suppose, helping you to get to where you want to go. And if
Mhm.
you're not getting there anytime soon, and it's becoming a frustration for you, and it's starting to pull the joy out of life, it's about having someone, somewhere, some community that can just help you to get past this sticky stage, isn't it? And
Yeah,
find
yeah.
that really success. Yeah.
I think you're right. Like, I think a lot of like the strategy piece is important, but my kind of ladies who I work with, they've kind of cracked that, right? The strategy piece is there. So they're like, but I'm still not getting to where I want to be. Well, that's when my work is really valuable because I'm like, well, it's not working because this is running in the background. Everything that's going on in your subconscious mind, is running the show. 95% of our thoughts are happening in the subconscious mind, only 5% in the prefrontal cortex. So your life, everything you see in your external world is a direct reflection of what's going on in your subconscious mind. And that is kind of scary because none of us are really aware of what's going on in there. You can't see your own invisible blind spots, right?
Mm.
So but it doesn't need to be difficult. It just requires commitment. And if you're committing to your business and you're committing to social media and growing your email list and all those things, then just add this thing as a non-negotiable, like brushing your teeth. And it's not about like, it doesn't have to be difficult. It just requires dedication and commitment. So every time you notice yourself spiraling, the self-doubt, the fear, catch, cancel, correct. That would be my best tip. Catch yourself in those moments which feels a bit icky correct, like cancel it, like no brain, we're not doing this anymore. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't help me reach my big dream goals. It's not making my life a party. We are over here now, and correct it with a reframe. So how would you like to think and feel about this situation instead? You get to choose. Comes back to choice. Well, instead of feeling really like second guessing myself all the time, I want to be able to showcase myself with conviction. So this is one of the big fun things for my clients. Often they're very visible, but they're not embodying their expertise to be known as the authority in their field. So they're kind of a bit vanilla. So the consistency is there, but not the kind of like, I am the person who's going to change your life, because there's the fear of not being good enough and the being judged and all that stuff. So it's again, it's like think greater than how you feel, choose how you want to feel in that situation, and then just think that thought over and over again. But you need to notice an energy. It's not just saying it for the sake of saying it. And a thought's only one way to change an emotional state. You can harness the power of your imagination, like you're talking about with your VIP clients, with visualization. Speak to any Olympic athlete, and they will talk to you about the power of visualization. Michael Phelps, in particular, has got some really interesting interviews, articles that he talks about that the reason he won, is it 10 Olympic gold medals?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Whatever it is, he won a lot. He visualized his fingertips touching the end of that pool every single day, multiple times a day, over and over and over again. And there's some fascinating research to show how, what's the words, but like how important it is, like how the brain responds to you visualizing those moments of like winning something and then making that happen. Like I think it's something about weightlifters. There was like two groups of weightlifters. One were just lifting weights in real life, and one were told to simply visualize it. And there was an actual increase in muscle mass with the guys who visualized it, hadn't even touched a weight, which goes to show. And there was another one with pianists. I could nerd out on this all day, but it
Mm.
goes to show that the again, like how we can leverage the power of simply visualizing something and imprinting that on the brain. The subconscious loves an image. So dream every, like literally before you go to bed every night, dream your dream image. What would you like your life to look like? What would you like your bank account to look like, your clients to look like? And then let your subconscious never sleeps, right? Let it do its thing while you sleep, imprinting that image. There's
Love it, love it.
top tip.
And I love, and this is the sort of thing that is difficult to do on a quick Zoom call where people are expecting lots of other things from you. So it's the type of work that I do when I get my clients together on retreats, or like I said, these VIP days when you've got hours and you're not rushed and you're not busy trying to deliver 100
Yeah.
things, and we've just got time to do this work, because people don't necessarily do this for themselves. They don't have a way of doing this, or even know where to start. And for some people, they've never even been opened to the opportunity. They've never even heard of parts of most of the things we're talking about today. And so everybody's at different little stages, aren't they, of where they're at. And I just think that, if nothing else, what I would love you to think about today, if you're listening to this, is where do I feel stuck in my life? Where are the areas in my life? Is it something within my business? Is it something with my partner? Is it something with my children? Is it something with my parents? Is it something with my bank balance? Like, where I feel stuck, and am I open to just thinking and going a little bit deeper into, why might that be happening? Is it thoughts that I am thinking every day? Is it beliefs that I believe every day? And where can I go for help? How can I start to be inquisitive around this? Because like you said multiple times today, Gemma, you get to choose whether you want to stay stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's really valuable for people to know that, you don't have to, this isn't it. You don't have to stay where you are. And one of the things that is really interesting is, you can give me 100 dance studio owners and I can teach them the exact same information, and 20 will make an incredible success out of it. Maybe 60 are mediocre. They give it their best shot. It's okay. They don't get the same results as the top 20. And then the other 20 get nothing at all. Like, they struggle with it. Like, and that's down to what you said, isn't it? It's what we're believing. Like, you can literally shut the door firmly on success.
Mm-hmm.
If your thoughts aren't the right thoughts, why do the top 20 have huge success and then some have none at all?
Yeah, you have like your brain is not what I literally did a reel on this today this morning. Your brain is not wired for success. It's simply wired for safety. And so every time you think about that, like the things that are required for success in terms of the visibility, in terms of putting yourself out there, making offers, making connections, collaborations, it's that your brain's not going to be happy with that. There's going to be friction there. And even thinking and feeling differently about that, your brain's going to want to pull you back into what's familiar. So expect friction, just like going to the gym for the first time. It's not fun, is it? When you're like, you've had Christmas and you're like, oh God, I really need to get to the gym. But then you get into a rhythm, right? You get fitter and it gets easier. It's the same with brain training. Suddenly your brain's like, once you start creating those neural pathways, then you get this sensation of like forgetting, like, God, I used to be really triggered by that stuff. And so many clients will ask me, like, how do you know when you've actually embodied a new belief? And I'm like, well, how long's a piece of string? Like, you know, when you're no longer triggered by the things that used to trigger you. That's when you know. And there's that sense of like, God, I used to, it's like a sense of forgetting. I used to feel triggered by that. So I used to people I grew up with people saying stuff to me, family members, but in particularly, oh, she wears her hearts on her sleeve. You know that phrase? Because she's a sensitive soul. You know that. So I was like, oh, I'm so sensitive and I take things personally. And I over-identified with that and believed it to be true. And of course, what happened? I took everything personally and felt like I was going to vomit if somebody said something that might criticize me. And, and it was like, that's not okay with me anymore. Like, let's work on this. Like, let's not take things personally because that's not going to get me very far in my business if, somebody has some feedback for me, for example, or somebody says something online. And that was a huge part of my imposter syndrome I had to overcome because, of course, as soon as somebody did have something negative to say, I would blow it up into being like, oh my God, my life's over because it must be true I'm not good enough and all of this stuff. And that takes a lot of like the awareness of like this my brain is simply offering me a sentence in my head right now in relation to these words on the screen or this voice that I can hear in my head. Nobody's climbing into my body, Deborah, making me feel and think a certain way. That's something really important to remember because so many of us are so quick to blame our circumstances, our bank accounts, other people for making us think and feel this way. No, they're not. Everything that when you're triggered, it's a choice. Is that quite a bitter pill to swallow that? But it's your choice to think and feel the way you are. The anger, the shame, the guilt, the frustration. Nobody's climbing into your body. So whenever you do feel triggered, ask yourself, like, what meaning am I attaching to this? That's the simplest way to unravel it. What meaning am I attaching to this? And brain dump, literally just like thought download onto a bit of paper to create that sense of distance and separation. And then you can quality control. None of this is helpful. Basically, any kind of funky feeling belief is a lie. The word lie is in the word belief. There's your top tip. Like, you know what? This feels crappy to me. I'm gonna choose not to believe in that anymore. That's a
Yeah.
hard no. Like, and then get creative. There's no right or wrong. It's not like you need to choose this belief. No, it's like what feels good to you. Try it on like you're trying on your jacket, like you've gone into your favorite clothing store. Or for me, a pair of jeans, I know when a pair of jeans fit like a glove and when they don't. More often, they don't. But when a pair of jeans fits well, you're like, yes, bum looks great in these, totally buying them. It's the same with like trying on thoughts. You want to say them out loud a few times and notice, does this make me feel even just a little bit better? If it does, great, go with that. If it doesn't, chuck it, get a new one. No right or wrong.
Love it, love it. And so just to kind of give people a little something maybe easy, because some of this work can feel quite hard for some people. But if you have you got one little simple, what I call starting point exercise that people could, for example, wake up and do every morning or do before they go to sleep? I mean, is there anything that you could give people to go and try straight away?
Yeah, so like I have a post-it note by my bed, and it changes, but at the moment it says it's either this or something better. It's either this or something better. And before I've even climbed out of bed, that's the first thing I want to see. I'm like, yeah. and really take a moment to be like, it's this, and that's how I want to start my day, and with that positive intention of like, it's this or something better. And your brain is most spongy and susceptible in the mornings and in the evenings. So that's a great time to do this work. So in the evenings, I would genuinely really recommend imprinting that image of the end goal. So what is it that you want, and how do you know when you've got it? That's a really important question. It's not enough to say, well, I want more money. That's like saying to a dog, go and fetch. And the dog's like, fetch what? The dog, the stick, the ball, like, what do you want? Or saying to a waiter in a restaurant, I just want some food. And the guy's like, what do you want? Pick something off the menu. So we have to be so specific, even more than you think you are. And then literally be in that moment when you've achieved that dream goal. Maybe it's like noticing that you've got the number of clients in your program. Maybe it's noticing your income at a certain level. Maybe it's noticing the white space in your calendar. But that moment where you're like, oh my God, I've done it. I've actually done it. And that, even just thinking and imagining that will elevate those emotions. And then you fall asleep and you let your brain do the work.
Well, I love that. So everybody, you can all make a start with this, whether you have areas that you struggle with or whether you're absolutely smashing it. Really think to yourself, what would be the thing today that I want to start working on? And what does it look like if it's more joy, more successful, just more abundant, that thing?
Mm.
And then, like Gemma said, start picturing yourself there, like start picturing yourself in that moment and go to bed with those thoughts. That's such a lovely, easy 30-second thing that we can all start doing. But it's just a start on working on the brain training, as I think you called it. Good
Yeah.
start. Yeah, thank you. I love that. And I hope you're all going to do that. I'm certainly going to go and do that. I normally do a gratitude thing before I fall asleep. I lie in bed and I think of all the things for the day and I roll through them and I say them out loud in my head. And it's so bizarre. I don't know what it is, but before I get to the end, I've always fallen asleep.
Oh,
Like,
really?
if I'm having problems going to sleep, I do this exercise because I always fall asleep before I get to the end of the last thing I was
I
grateful.
love that.
Yeah, it's almost like, something, someone, some essence has kind of gone. It's okay. You're in the right space. You put yourself in the right frame of mind. So now you can sleep with that there. You don't have to keep going. Like, we've got it. Like,
I
so
love
this,
that. And what you appreciate appreciates, right? Like that's the magic of gratitude. And I think that's an amazing, I would, yeah, I love that. I normally do something similar as well. Because again, the brain is so wired for like, it's got this negative bias, very annoying. It's so easy for us to discount and focus on the things that aren't working. Like that's what the brain wants to do. Yeah, but this happened and this. So I think gratitude is such a lovely way to just shift and pivot your focus and attention to even the little things about like, how good was my coffee today? I get to eat from a fridge that's full. Like if you want to feel more freedom and abundance, look at the amount of clothes in your wardrobe, look at like the food in your fridge. It can be really simple things. It doesn't need to be, I'm grateful for my health. Again, like you focus on the big things a lot of the time, don't you?
absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes something great has happened in the day. So that's the obvious things. But yeah, sometimes I'm just like, and I'm grateful that I didn't wake up with pain today. Like,
Yeah.
because people have to live with pain, or like there's something we can all find gratitude, no matter how hard our life feels. So yeah, that's my kind of evening thing. And then the morning I do something very similar. And I do have a post-it note. And my post-it note,
Oh, do you?
current post-it note is on my new bedside table. And I always sleep on one side. So I open my eyes, it's the first thing I see. And mine says, I can and I will, let's do this today.
Oh, I love that.
I can, so I will. Like it's just that absolute, there's no question. All right,
Mhm.
what up we get, off we go, let's do this. And
I
it's just
love that. I call that done energy. I love being in the done energy. It's just like, yeah, it's already happened. So yeah, just relax about it because it's
oh,
done.
yeah. So there we go, everyone. Go find a post-it note.
Go and
Love
find your post-it notes. Yeah.
Go find a post-it note. I'd love to know, you can stick it on your bathroom mirror, like wherever you know
Yeah.
you're going to see it, on a kettle. If you always start the morning with a cup of tea, put it somewhere where you're going to see it every day. And do let us know. Comment, do comment, put some comments in the comment, or on Facebook when you see the reel come up for this podcast. I've loved this conversation, Gemma. I'm in my
Oh.
when I'm talking about this stuff. So I knew it was going to be juicy. I knew it was going to be, and I really hope that some people have taken some great stuff from today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. If
My
people want to
pleasure.
come and find you, where is the best place to find you?
Oh, I hang out mainly on Facebook. So my personal profile, Gemma Gilmour, come and find me there. I do have a business page as well, but I hang out mainly on my profile. And I'm on Instagram under Success Becomes Her on Instagram. And I'm on LinkedIn as well, but not so much on LinkedIn. So yeah, that's the
Yeah.
best place to find me.
Amazing. And 2 seconds, we have some quick fire daft questions I always finish my podcast with. They're just crazy, silly things, but you just have to say the first thing that comes to the frantic mind. Is that okay? Are you good to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Brilliant. Favorite chocolate bar?
Oh, Snickers.
Favorite business book?
Ooh, business book. Any of Denise Duffield Thomas's books.
Wow, fab. Favorite holiday destination?
Oh God, no, that's the hardest question of them all, Deborah. I'm gonna go Thailand.
Thailand. Okay. Um, Craziest thing on your bucket list?
Hmm.
And do you have a bucket list?
It's been a while since I've updated my bucket list. I don't know if I've got a crazy thing. I'm a little bit obsessed with travel, so it's a lot of travel experiences abroad. But in terms of, I mean, I've done a skydive. I've not done a bungee jump, but it's definitely not on my bucket list.
It's not made onto mine either. I can assure you. Yeah, okay.
I've done a hot air balloon ride. Oh, I don't know. What's yours? What's the craziest thing on your bucket list?
Well, a lot of my bucket list stuff was to do with the life I'm now living. So that's
Oh,
really hard actually. But I still have it on my bucket list to stand and speak in front of more than 1,000 people on a stage.
oh.
So that's still on my bucket list. But yeah, I actually went for it a bit when I turned 50. So I've actually ticked a lot of my bucket list.
Oh,
A
did
lot of my
you?
this stuff off. Yeah.
I love it.
But thank you, Joanna. It's been
Oh.
beautiful. I will leave you to go and eat Snickers in Thailand.
What a combination.
Yeah, absolutely. Reading Denise Donald Thomas.
Oh, thank you,
So much,
Deborah.
my darling. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.